is Ravi Pedibotla. I am the Chief Digital Officer at TVS Electronics. So I've been working with TVS for the last 4-5 years maybe. So prior to that, I was with all the IT services companies and spent a lot of time outside India. What we are doing at TVS Electronics is specifically on the digital transformation. I mean, I know most of the crowd here is probably all in that same space, but very unique to what we are doing there is to kind of bring the Uberization concept into servicing of electronic consumer products. So that's the main focus area for me in, as far as my role in TVS Electronics is concerned. That's about me.
Hi, good evening. I'm Pragati Kumar. I work at Head of IT in Orchid Pharma. I have got around 26 plus years of experience in the IT field and around 16 years in the pharma domain.
We will know more about you. Hi, I'm Ravi Kiran, representing Sundaram Clayton, but don't take this as an official spokesperson of Sundaram Clayton. All is my personal views. Okay, so it is a disclaimer first. So I'm a hardcore manufacturing IT guy. So any questions you can ask me from information security, compliance, governance, how the blue collar employees will behave when we are trying to implement the digital transformation and all. So my experience is mostly with the manufacturing digitalization part. So I'm representing here as a moderator. I don't know whether it's an easy or a tough job, but I'll try to do my best. Bala, now you can.
Hello everyone, thank you for this evening. My name is Balaji Sundararajan. I work as a Senior Vice President and Global Head of Technology at AGS Health, which is a leading BPO organization, works in medical coding and billing and AR and that sort of stuff. So this is my 26th year in software. All these years I was like designing, coding, building and selling software. So at this current role, I'm at the juncture of handling data, handling intelligence, handling AI and so on for the products that we use internally as well as the products that we sell to customers across the world. So I'm very happy and pleased to be part of this panel so we can share and learn from each other.
Okay, thank you, Balaji. So next 30 minutes, I think we should spend in getting some good insights from our esteemed panel members. So let us discuss about this cloud strategy. Actually, practically from a manufacturing companies, how we should start our cloud journey. That is the first point we will discuss it today. And what are the different types of clouds which are available, how to choose which is the right cloud for us based on our industry experience and the current industry. We will also learn today about what are the data security challenges in cloud. So that is the most critical point. And today Ravi also has come with a good part is on LLM and AI part. So let us listen from him with some use cases. So to start with, on the cloud strategy, normally when we say that from a traditional company or a legacy applications, we say that maybe in the boardroom you said why your IT department is not considering a cloud migration from on-premises. So let us discuss a couple of points. What really makes us important that yes, now this is the time we should migrate our on-premises to the cloud. Which are the main, I think I wanted to ask Balaji on this. So which are the prime factors we should consider while crunching these numbers, because everything is a capex now. So normally we say it's a zero capex. So you have to convince and say that get a capex. Otherwise there is no pre-approved capex for us. So we have to go to the board or our CAO, CDO, whoever. So I want to understand from you, Balaji, that what are the minimum or what are parameters which we should really consider, yes, this is the right time to the cloud.
Yeah, sure, Ravi Kiran. Incidentally, I read an article in New Yorker today called the data delusion. Right? One is, I mean, we used to crunch numbers manually. Humans used to pick up numbers that like all of us would have done sometime in the past. on what do we really need to measure. And we used to sit with a lot of spreadsheet, written and computer-based and all that stuff. But humans used to do that, right? But so there were natural limitations in terms of what we can, perform and what we can measure. So one, that was a limitation, but the other side to it, that we were very careful on what we are spending our time and resources on, right? So we used to pick up, selective points. I just want to measure this number, and all that. Now that, with the advent of data processing systems, storage systems have gone down in price, incredibly over the years, and the computing power has also grown cheaper, and we have better algorithms, better, programmers and all that. But the downside of that is we are now seeing everything. Everything is being measured, everything is being shown and all that. Is it all relevant, right? So that is where the question of when we go to a CFO in an organization, say that I'm going to create this data lake, a data warehouse or something like that, I mean, they jump out of the chair thinking, oh my God, another ERP coming in my way, right? So there, I mean, there are certain things that we can, I mean, like I face it every day, you all face it every day. Certain things that we can put in perspective is, first of all, is it for internal, margin improvement or savings measurements, or these things are going to give me direct revenue impact, right? Am I going to sell this, right? Is this going to enable revenue? Our company may not be in the business of selling dashboards, but the dashboards that we are making, is it going to enable new revenue, right? One, that is the biggest segregation that we practice at least, right? And the second part is basically, we see like there is a very thin balance that we need to do. We had aristocracies, we have democracies, then technocracies, now it's datacracy, right? So everything is driven by data, right? So we also should be careful that we don't let these dashboards and systems do not become dictators of the organization, while we be careful to prevent the culture and what is more important to the values of the company, not just the data, right? So on that area also, if you measure, say for example, there is a initiative that was brought in recently in one of the organizations, saying that, hey, I'm going to measure, the developer productivity or the agent productivity by measuring what they are doing in their computers, right? So we have to spend, say, $5 million on this. It doesn't matter, right? As long as the productivity goals are met, as long as the people's morale is good. So these kind of things, while it's an attractive thing to see that, I'm going to tell you what exactly everyone did at point of time T, right? So while it is very romantic and attractive to look at that number, but that may not, help you as an organization in terms of value and growth. Right? So those are certain other criteria that we might have to look at. Like the first is internal or external. The second is, does it really contribute to the values we believe in? Is it going to give me finally what I want this company to be, right? And there are a few other points which, for these eminent, people, I don't have to say that again, but I'll repeat a key few points basically. One is the clarity of objectives. Second is the business impact, bottom line. And then what is the time to value, right? If I start this effort, how much time it's going to take till I realize the value of this effort, right? It's 10 months, 10 years, whatsoever. Will my company being sold by that time? Will I be even, right? So there are other questions, right? Time to value is another critical point, because many of this effort we take, like we say, like within 3 years you will get the ROI or something. 3 years become a very long time in current, scenarios, right? Another COVID-2 might come or whatever, right? So that is another point. And then the usual cost and investment, all our CBA analysis and all that we do. So these are, I say, at a high level that, I would do or we practice. Thank you, Ravi.
Thank you, Balaji. I think the resources and the cost savings, these are the two critical parameters which we really, and from my side, I also believe that our partner support, because we have many legacy applications hosted, and we have a high dependency on the vendors. I should not say vendor, they are our partners, but sometimes they'll become a bottleneck for us. Maybe we have seen our career um, outside IT when we are in business, we want some storage space or a CPU or a server. No, we used to wait for months together. That has come to weeks together. Now I can give like this. So this is one of the best agility where we can offer in the cloud. That is one. And as I said, the partner dependency can be reduced, and moreover, the speed. So which is that response time which we get it from cloud part, and cost saving also. I don't think every time we can show the cost saving return of investment to the management, but for example, a simple like from a Microsoft Office 365 to M365 really gives a 10 times of storage, OneDrive, all these facilities. Like it's like a work style innovation. We are really evaluating it. But other way also, it is not that cloud migration is only cost saving. Sometimes we will also land up in huge cost payout to the service providers, because if you don't scale up properly initially and nobody monitors this usage of these resources, definitely that cost will be. I think we need to do that balance also. Anybody you want to add anything, or Ravi, can I go to the next topic? Yeah. So coming to after discussing on the return of investment or a cost crunches, let us discuss about and how to identify the right cloud. For example, mine is a manufacturing industry, auto components, is a pharma. So we have we are heading a digital building. So want to understand, Ravi, from you on how to identify based on my current need. It is not that some partner has come and given a beautiful PowerPoint presentation. Let's go.
Right.
So how to evaluate and how to decide?
Okay, we'll take a stab at that. So first things that come to mind is where you are on your digital journey. That practically plays a very important role. I mean, each of our organizations are in a different state as far as the digital journey, but because we ourselves in being in technology space, we are much closer to what's happening outside, does not reflect immediately saying that is cloud the right way to kind of go about. And of course, the second question, of course, is, who is the right cloud provider? So very first kind of, thought process that at least goes through my mind is, am I even mentally even prepared to kind of, make into the cloud model to kind of, start doing that one? Is my organization and the current literacy level that is there for the kind of, requirements that we have, is it even meant for that one? And selecting the cloud provider and who is probably, how do you kind of, start evaluating? If you look at the hyperscalers that are currently there in the market, I mean, there's practically no difference between selecting him or the other. I mean, I don't honestly believe that going into that nickel and diming and figuring out whether he is going to give me, a little more than that, I don't think I would probably lose my time over that. It's, you could practically put your bet on any one of them. But having said that, the culturally, where your background, I mean, suppose, assuming that I'm the deciding kind of, factor in my organization, my cultural background and my experiences with the, different environments that I've worked in plays a very important role in making that recommendation. There's going to be a biased view. There's no question about that one, I'm very sure. But what is probably also important when I start selecting more on a technology front, on how do you start, looking at this one, for me, extremely important, the way I look at it is portability across. So today I might be very, very interested in what you might offer from a Microsoft perspective, but at the same time, if I'm very clued or, I'm stuck with you with your managed services that I'm going to be using, then I don't think I would want to be in that, sticky situation tomorrow. So I'm very sure as technology people, it's 101 to kind of, think that it might be today your cloud, it might be somebody else's cloud. I might even bring back that entire thing into some other place within my own computing environment. So I don't think I should be limited by the technology choices that bind me there. The other important factor that probably comes to mind when I start looking at the cloud providers, let's say specifically in terms of what kind of stack has been used within that organization itself to kind of bring their cloud. So uh, some cloud providers, the big guys specifically, they have gone with open source stack to kind of do that. But if you take other organizations who have come up either hyperscalers or any of the non-hyperscalers too, they would have a very focused view on oh, I'm going to stick with the Microsoft-based approach to kind of set it up. Their virtualization technologies are probably something that my enterprise kind of support is very good on, so I'll go with it. And some others, oh, Red Hat is probably the best way to go forward. No way we am going to tie it. So regardless of the technology choice that we are making, I mean, that plays a role. I mean, I can't deny that won't come into factor. So how did that, cultural technology matter for that cloud provider is significantly. And of course, uh, the software aspects like who all is already running there, uh, are their clouds, are their customers kind of finding that opportunity to kind of really grow with them, along with them, and the support services of that cloud provider. I am pretty sure that that is given kind of space. I don't think we can expect that. So going back, one, the decision-making authority, unbiased opinion of that particular person is going to factor in. Yeah, that for the most part, I think, would help me decide, who is that, and not to be stuck with one cloud provider's technology stack and be agnostic to wherever you want to kind of, put. That, I think, in a nutshell, is probably where I would go.
Yeah, yeah. I think you said it's a biased decision or unbiased? Unbiased. Okay.
I would correct myself. So yes, it would definitely have to be an unbiased decision at the end, but would it be biased based on the cultural experience that you would have? It would definitely. There's no way it would not influence that.
Correct. Actually, maybe I will give a different perspective from a biased approach. I think the cloud journey I don't think we will start from zero, cloud journey, okay? So maybe if you see the cloud journey which we have started is a couple of applications which are already hosted from a partner side, where we just taken their products. They are using, for example, Azure. So my journey automatically started with Azure unknowingly, okay? So that experience which we have, which we had with Azure, their senior leadership team, or the use cases which we have done, I'll have some biased opinion. So in my mind, normally. Then a couple of applications on premises, we started giving problem for us. We decided to migrate. Then cloud selection, I think personally I feel some biased opinion will come into the picture at the back, because I'm comfortable till now. At least if you take a weighted average, normally I follow Toyota practice. We do a weighted average of evaluation of different service providers. Definitely I'll give some weight to my previous experience, which I have bought it from my other company or in the current company. I think maybe that is one point. And typically the manufacturing industries, like another major point which I should tell you is that OT part, operation technology part, because if you divide into an IT, blue collar and white collar applications, it's not a blue collar applications, but otherwise operation technology applications, maybe maybe Azure may not be a right service provider for me, or maybe AWS or GCP. So I have to really think from both the sides, whether my IT application needs this or my OT application needs this, or both I should have one cloud. So as you said, there is no much difference and the support is common. But that is another factor for me to separate OT and IT environment. That's what I really do it while selecting the cloud.
Okay, can I yeah. So while you were saying, it just struck to me, sometimes, most of the times, let us say, it's no more homegrown kind of stuff, right? So if you are going with SaaS because that's what your CFO wants you to go tomorrow morning, or your business wants you to go tomorrow morning, and do I really have a choice whether that SaaS product works on this cloud versus that? So let us say I've decided to go with Dynamics 365, so there's no choice of bringing that into the Amazon cloud and running. And similarly, if I want to use a CRM from Zoho, I mean, regardless of wherever you're running, I really don't have a choice in deciding, unless greenfield, and very rarely today we are talking about greenfield stuff, unless you guys are saying, okay, 2 years, let's kind of do. Nobody's going to give us that opportunity.
That's the reason I said we already started actually somewhere unknowingly. And Prakriti, just wanted to hear your opinion on data security, because pharma is something different. which is really scary in handling a data and all. So I think we normally in my meetings also I say that please implement data security policies or regulations like how a pharma company and RBI works. So want to understand from how you deal this data part in pharma industry.
Good question, but you are asking me where I am keeping the money and where is the key. Yeah. How many of you are from pharma industry? Only one. Okay, good.
He is not your colleague, right?
No. Anyway, good. So data is, I'm not commenting about the other industries, but pharma industry, we generate millions of data in every second, okay? And most of the data which gets generated, we have to store it for minimum 15 years, yeah. So we are talking about the volume of the data also. And most of the data security are governed by the compliance. And every country has got different compliances requirement. So I can tell you one small example, like the systems which is used for generating or collected the generated data should not be accessible over the network or over physically by other people who are not in the similar department or similar cycle. So that kind of security we are talking about. We are not talking about only network security or accessible security or internet security or something. We are talking even about physical security to the computer. Okay. So up to that level of security requirements are there, and which is commonly audited in every bi-weekly by the internal team and external forces over the years. So security, data security is something very important for our pharma business. And if we are into R&D, then it is more. Okay. So in R&D, most of the people, we are all using cloud because of many additional advantages.
We are really using R&D fully into cloud.
See, I have some statistics if you want me to.
Because normally we see that R&D is the last bench guy for cloud.
See, we are talking about pharma market is there in the market. As on today is around 19.7 million of revenue, only pharma. Total, and out of the total cloud is around 545 billion. So it's only 0.5%. It's not much. And we are expecting pharma to reach around 60 billions in 2030. Okay, the next number is really surprising. Out of this 19.7 billion, it's 87% market is in R&D. So mostly if we partition the complete pharma into three verticals, one is a API manufacturing, formulation, and domestic or export, and R&D, the majorly three verticals. So one vertical only is talking about 83%. So other two verticals we are talking only about 17%. So pharma, the most usable vertical in cloud is only R&D. Okay. Other verticals we are using, means which is nothing but the 17%, but mostly for the generic IT services, not for the core pharma application. Okay. Because of the data size, because of the security to be in-house, to be retained. It's not that cloud security is not good, it is not in that sense, but there are many regulatory requirements which have to be there. One small, maybe it's just a fun point. One day suddenly one auditor comes to our data center, and we are completely into virtualization, and comes with a quality assurance document and asking like, there is a serial number mentioned here. You show me the serial number of the server. I said, this is a virtual server. No, sir, you have to give the serial number. Okay, then we have to explain them. We took around 30 minutes time to explain them what is the technology we are using to provide the server for the quality department. And, that kind of up to the serial number. If we are changing the server, the new serial number chassis have to be registered in the quality department.
Like RTO.
More than that. So there are quite a lot of things which is internal even to the pharma and data security, mainly for the manufacturing perspective.
But also, another again a silly question. If you are moving from on-premises to cloud, how you will give a serial number?
That's the biggest question. That's the reason we are not moving. We are moving only the R&D factors to the cloud, where we can really use the power of the cloud. Okay. In R&D, when we are using the cloud, we get lot of advantages. Collaborative working, and there is already a analytics and AI part and BI part. Everything is there in the cloud, and anybody is doing any research, you contribute your part in that, and also you have access to all other R&D information which is already done. So you are not going to spend money or energy to redo the testing. So that is the reason, main reason why R&D, most of the data or people are using in the cloud.
I think huge market. I think it is a good news for service providers that they can come and tap R&D for cloud.
No, it's R&D already 83% is there.
That means still there is some good opportunity for
yes.
to scale up.
Yes.
One is implementation part. Another is like if you see from a security point of view, challenges point of view, how you are going to sustain it. How you are going to ensure this there is no leakage of information from your side.
No, in the R&D, what we do is normally you don't try to put the private information. I mean the information which you are doing a research, but mostly you use the cloud to collect the information which is already done by somebody, which you need it. So which is a common information. That is what is this. So it doesn't have the private information. So we are doing a research of developing a new molecule. So we don't tell what molecule we are trying to develop, right? But we are trying to get the properties, how this reaction happens with this chemical or that process or something, which is already could have done by somebody.
Can you give some code name also?
Yes.
Then good learning. I think we should listen from you on how we are handling a data challenges. See, from a manufacturing point of view, for us, if it is a non-pharma, I think you can divide into pharma and non-pharma. We have a lot of challenges because if you go to a shop floor guy and if you speak about data security, he will say, boss, this is not my job. I think most of our members knows that if you talk about data security, confidentiality, integrity, availability, I think she's laughing, so she's from a security background. Confidentiality, integrity, availability is the keywords which we normally say, whenever we say that data, any information security guy, if he starts speech, he will start with the CIA part. But if you see the priority, confidentiality comes first for me, irrespective of availability. For example, from IT side, there is no leakage of data should be there. Even if your application is down for a couple of hours, it is okay. That is the reason that availability has put in the last in CIA. But if you go to operation technology guys, if I go to a guy in the shop floor, car manufacturing, pharma, or my auto components, it goes like this. For him, availability is first. I will say, boss, if you do like this, there is a chance of data breach. He said, sir, my tag time is to produce 300 cars per day. That is my tag time. You come later. So for him, availability is an issue. So these type of challenges comes when it comes to a manufacturing industry, like where there is a low awareness is there on the data security. So when I was in Toyota, we used to go with a mic like this early morning. There is a morning meeting with the supervisors. We used to give a best security practices there in the mic. It's like a political meeting. Sometimes they listen, sometimes most of them they may not listen also because they have to go and they are in hurry to go and assemble the car. And every 3 minutes, one Krista. Krista tag time is 3 minutes. So every 3 minutes, you will see Krista coming out. So that is a tag time for them. And as I said, like lowest importance for a data there. So that is a thin layer you were telling about initially that thin layer between this and that. So that is a challenge for us in auto components and other manufacturing industries. You want to anything add, Balaji? Or?
One advantage with the cloud systems is we don't have to prove or sell our security policies and other things to our prospective clients like we used to do before cloud, right? Say for example, in our world, we service healthcare providers, right? So there is a very high possibility that all the healthcare providers who are in cloud will end up in one or two clouds basically. So at any point in time, I have a 50% probability that my client is also in the same cloud as mine, right? So it's easy for us to go sell, talk about, I don't have to start from scratch on, what are all my security policies, how I manage things, how I manage access controls. All I have to say is like, I'm using IAM from Amazon or IDM from Azure or something like that, then it closes the case, right? So that way, the increasing adoption in cloud also has helped us in terms of, not only maintaining, but also, explaining our security posture to the prospective clients and the compliance authorities.
I think you can continue. I think we are now GPT, chat the generation. So I would like to know something from LLM and AI. I think our previous speaker was also speaking about this.
Yeah. So, okay. Before going LLM and all that, right? One point I want to make is there was a question about like, how do you choose the cloud, right? We discussed a lot on that. So we might choose the cloud by various pressures. One is bias, of course, right? If I've already worked with AWS in my previous career and I have a lot of comfort, I know people there and all that kind of stuff, it always takes a precedence and there is nothing wrong in it. The second part is there might be other pressures in terms of margins and budgets saying that, hey, Amazon is offering 30% or, Oracle is offering 40%. Why don't you go with that, right? So there is other competition because cloud is also getting commoditized now, right? So we might go with something, right, which is more apt for that context of time. But one small thing that we can all make note is make sure, be very careful when you utilize a cloud native service. Say, for example, the RDS databases or Azure SQL or whatsoever, right? That is one, because it increases the stickiness to that particular cloud and it will make it hard for you to shift from there later, right? Second is, when you do so, when you have to use it, generally we can wrap it as a service or a function, serverless function or something like that. So we can shift the rest of the things out if there is a need. Keep these things inside and still use it, as a function or an API or whatever, right? So that I wanted to add to that. And on the note of the recent generative AI, large language models, and other transformer algorithms that have come in, so we are now, as everyone, right? The services firms are facing a kind of an existential threat, right? With the advent of the newer, most powerful, more smart AI algorithms that are being developed, right? I could, the analogy would be like when we were all growing up by seeing the gray hairs and the stuff, right? Our parents, we have heard people asking us to learn typewriting and shorthand. It's good to have some kind of higher in English, lower in Tamil sort of stuff that we are all taught about. Now that the breed itself is gone, my kid is, my son is actually keeping a typewriter as a showpiece in his room, which his grandfather used, right? Then the word processing came and it wiped this whole industry out, right? I believe at least, right? We are in a similar kind of a tipping point, which will eliminate a lot of mundane jobs. But the whole point I want to make there on the AI side is the AI is not going to replace people, but people who know how to use AI will replace people who don't know how to use AI. That's what again is going to happen, right? It's not machines going to kill us, right? So, so it's important, though we may not be using like complete, chat GPT integration to our systems, because, it might take time. It's very nascent and all that, but it's important for us to have that awareness in the company, right? And start using it at least peripherally, right? Use a restricted version of ChatGPT or a language model to start about, understanding about product manuals, right? Put a chatbot in our website who will answer questions to our visitors about our company products and offerings, right? Start touching it at least that, right? But I believe as we speak, there is a website called there is an AI for that. That's a website name, and the kind of applications that I see there is really startling. It starts from private replacing private secretaries, right? Front desk staff, people who organize your appointments and meetings and all that stuff, right? It starts from that level and goes up to replacing entire industries like digital content generation, you know, and graphical content creation and so on. Very soon it will creep into mainstream things like design and all that. So it's important for us to very carefully approach that because it's the start of the wave is what I'm thinking. Either we are being washed out by the wave or we are riding the wave, depends on us, like how fast we are getting into that.
You want to add anything on LLM? Yeah.
Okay, sure, why not? From a large language model, the kind of work that we've been doing, right, my experience that we have started looking into, I wouldn't say that we are anywhere close to the kind of maturity that we are seeing in other places. So the capability that you're seeing in a large language model, we all know is something that you would have to send your request elsewhere in the world. So somebody else is at having an access to whatever you're doing. I mean, since we're talking about data and we're talking about security, it's implied that you can't deny the fact that, yes, even though you're a lot more productive with the LLM kind of a situation that is out there, but somebody else is actually answering the question. So the way we are seeing that kind of turning around is, oh, that's a large language model. So where is a tiny model very specific for my organization, for my data? So how do I make that large language model become a tiny model, and in fact probably as tiny as Ravi's tiny model sitting on my laptop to answer my questions based on what data it is. So that's the kind of work that I'm more interested in. That's the kind of work that I'm kind of researching on right now. And it could definitely be extended to our own enterprises. So rather than, oh, you have the capability of the large language model sitting somewhere else, but how do I take advantage of the entire dictionary, if I were to say, the entire Wikipedia, encyclopedia, and all that put together. But, oh, please train it against my enterprise data so that I have exact questions answered against my requirement. So that's a focus area for me that I'm very kind of, interested on. And I'm not the first person, obviously. There's tiny models that are developed already against many enterprises which are already available. And one area that probably is of interest to me also is, yes, your ChatGPT still is, I wouldn't go into prompt engineering as, very boring. Yeah, we all know it is important from technology, but where I probably want that effort to be extended and I can share my experiences, how do you bring that entire ChatGPT experience into your local laptop and say that the large language model is running inside my machine and I have chat. That way, oh, my question that I'm asking and the answers that I'm getting are very limited to my laptop. I can disconnect from my internet and still be able to do that. So it addresses your security concern, it addresses your CFO concern on, the data not going outside, and I can ask very contextualized questions based on my financial data that my organization is dealing with, and not be worried about, sending it across through the OpenAI API or through ChatGPT for answering that one. So that's the kind of experience that I think, we've been working on from a large language model and generative AI in my organization.
Very good insights about the tiny models which you are saying. It also improves the user experience, today which we have listened before this session. Maybe anybody can share some best practices on how to move from on-premise to cloud seamlessly. any ideas, any thoughts that what are the best practices while we are migrating the cloud? Anybody can?
I'm part of 17% here. Okay, so when you are planning for this, when you are planning for this cloud migration journey and all, see, most of the cloud providers today are giving the proven API and proven methods based on what application or what infrastructure you are trying to migrate. So, we should use those in a subscribed manner rather than reinventing a wheel. Until unless your application demands something, a separate configuration or something, where you have to put your effort to make a parallel run or migration. Otherwise, I would love to use the proven tool rather than re-engineering the tool. And
known devil is better. No?
Yeah, that will be my recommendation.
Okay, Ravi, you want to add anything?
So if I recall, your question is around how do you kind of start migrating your workload into the hybrid okay. So I mean the pendulum of centralization versus decentralization is an ongoing thing. We know you will never be able to kind of answer that. One area that probably comes to mind when you want to consider a cloud or how do you kind of migrate is like I said, those technologies have become so commoditized in how you want to do is practically available for me even to run out here, right? So the only reason I would probably consider is GPU. Let's say in the case of your AI ML, that's not something that I can get access to in my local environment. So that becomes a very important case for me to do that. A TPU equivalent kind of thing, there's no way I can go in to get a TPU for my, so that becomes a very important case for me to consider, moving to a cloud against my local data premises. And yes, there is even, conversations happening around saying that forget hybrid cloud, where is a confidential cloud? So it's almost like, saying that, there's an India internet sitting somewhere and, it's entirely kind of, if that is the kind of conversation you want, then, probably you want to start considering what kind of workloads are better suited and how do you kind of move that into a cloud environment and how do you kind of do that transition, lift and shift kind of a model that we're talking about. In the past, at least 8 years ago or 10 years ago, you would probably say, oh, is this meant for elasticity? And that's the kind of, outlook you used to have. But today, I don't think any application is kind of, that's meant for cloud, that is not meant for cloud, is not even a, topic that we, even discuss. So practically anything can run, any kind of computing environment that you're talking about, any kind of storage, any kind of network that you talk about. But where I would probably stress a lot is, the technology skills that are required is a double-edged sword. So you have the advantage of configuring on cloud, but most of that is taken care, fortunately, for a novice or a not so talented kind of security network kind of a guy. So half of that problem is solved, and only the smaller part is available. So that helps me a lot in kind of saying that half of your problems are taken care by the existing managed services that they are providing. So very little limited skill set. So train them and kind of get them going. So that's how I start making my decisions on which cloud. How do you go set up a hybrid cloud and move the workload whether based on on-premise or cloud or hybrid.
Okay, Ravi. Thank you very much. I think this is end of our. You want to add anything, Balaji? Or okay, thank you. We have, I think, we have 3 more minutes. Maybe if anybody, our participants wanted to ask any questions, we will try our best to answer it.
Hi, I'm Vishwanathan from Kaplan Point. My question is, since we are talking about the cloud, how soon do we see that we do not have servers in our local system?
Shall I answer it? No, you will never have that day.
But why?
See, you have to have on-premises servers. I think it all depends. See, cloud means it is not that you will switch off your data center. No, that is not going to happen, sir. So your IT, you are an IT department? Acha, okay. That I have to change my answer. I don't think, my personal opinion, I don't think you will shut down your data center and use for your storage area. No. Because see, some of these authentication ADs and all, you have to have, sometimes you have to have a local. For example, R&D you were speaking about. I don't think that entire my R&D I will move it to cloud. Hybrid cloud which we are talking, some of the components now, some of the designs the service providers are helping us. Only processing happens in cloud, but storage happens locally here. Or otherwise also, no? I can take processing locally here and storage I can take in cloud. So I don't think really, so forget about your network switches has to have a centralized load balancing server. So server has to be there, but how much
I may not have a
you are
network switch
migrating.
itself. What I mean is, like, I will go with the Wi-Fi. I will not even have a switch. I am going to
Sir, where
access
is-
everything over the internet only, right? So what I need is only a internet, this thing, like a router and server, nothing more than that.
Sir, again, I'm coming back to the numbers. Year on year, cloud computing is increasing by 17.9% year on year. And the data center, from the data center to the cloud, migration is only 7.9%. Every year, business additional requirement also is keep getting added into the existing data centers. But 10%, which is the difference, becomes an additional business requirement which gets increased in the cloud. So, if we are able to tell that from this date we will not have any additional requirement, yes, there might be a saturation point, which we will not be able to ever tell. Okay, as he said, we'll have both.
Thank you.
And I will again, in addition to what you asked, I think most of the guys are from an industry side also. If you go to a plant side, I'm sure that you will find 2-3 systems or applications which are running on Windows XP. See, he is voting for me. You can't, where you can go to cloud? Forget about 2000. Still you have to die with XP only.
I still have one computer running Windows 98.
I think whoever is offering a security, please have some good business with
To replace this Windows 98, we have to spend 19.8 crores. So we are okay to manage the Windows 8.
See, that is a return of investment of Windows 98.
Good evening all. I'm Sivakumar from a company called Kubota. So my question is, there are multiple flavors are available, right, for the cloud, private cloud, public cloud, hybrid cloud, back to on-prem. There are multiple gimmicks are there. So what is the exact parameters the leaders like you from the industry, from IT, who is representing the business as well as the technology? What all the parameters are the decision factors you are considering to select which bucket? Say example, I wanted to go for a public cloud, or I wanted to specifically go for the private cloud, or I wanted to have it as a hybrid mode. Some of my client facing will be in the cloud, and all my huge data sets still in the on-prem, because everything is linked to a cost. So obviously you will be balancing out both the business deliverable as well as the cost, security. It's like a triangle kind of things. So what are the metrics the IT leaders, or I would say the business leaders? Yeah.
So you're wondering how do you kind of determine, you want to go for a public or a private, or you're on-prem, or maybe a hybrid kind of model, and how do I go about selecting that, right? Very first, I would probably stop reading what's out there, definitely not. And mostly it comes down to very simple, practical experience that you would have to bring your own specific use case to the question that you're trying to address, and that in itself will start giving out an answer. Like, I personally feel we had that choice of deciding whether is it supposed to run on my private cloud versus a public cloud, but practically anything that is available as a business problem can be solved in any of these clouds, and either as an on-premise solution, as a hybrid solution, or as a public cloud solution. So specific use cases that bring out why you would choose. I'll give one example that immediately comes. So a standard example that we would probably read a lot, autonomous driving vehicles. So So I cannot afford to make that decision to send that contextual information back to the cloud and then decide whether I should apply the brake or not, right? It has to be done. So that kind of use case practically makes it impossible for me to even think of public cloud or any kind of cloud for that matter. So bottom line, it comes down to figuring out your specific use case. Does it have elasticity in mind? Oh, fantastic. I mean, this industry, at least 8 years ago, I probably thought about, somebody told me from pharmacy industry saying that they run very short duration cycles of 3 months to do some generic product that comes out. And I can no way go back to a CFO and say that, you know what, let me buy this infrastructure. It's probably going to contain this many servers and this kind of storage, and I might have to shut it down. It makes no sense. Cloud is a fantastic example for their industry to go and do it. So if you start kind of, dissecting the specific problem that is there, to kind of, look at what I say or probably anybody else has said, I would probably disregard and look at my problem, figure out for myself from my own experience, rather than kind of, go with boilerplate solutions saying that here or there. No, I wouldn't do that. That's my 2 cents.